You got to look at yesterday's games. It was Giants versus Fnatic, and honestly, when you look at the performance of one of their newer members of Maxlore, it didn't start the best way for him when you look at it. Game one, kind of getting caught out straight away, straight off the bat.
Literally 1 minute into being onto the stage and playing off.
Welcome to the LCS as a newcomer. Didn't really have the best of games. A little bit better when you look at game two. Some of the plays later on into the game, getting the cocoons out, was better, but certainly still a slow start for Maxlore from that jungle role.
Indeed. And I also want to talk about bot lane, specifically Sunstar. Did not have a good series. 1, 11, and 7, I believe his total scoreline was. And it was just odd decision-making. He clearly wasn't on the same page as his team. I remember top lane skirmish when he was playing Caitlyn, walked in after his team had backed off, and of course he just got insta-gibbed. Bot lane walked up the river to try and assist, got insta-gibbed. Like, there was a lot of times he just spent in the game just dead.
Yeah, so honestly, I think those are the two key points that we're looking for today, hopefully to kind of fix themselves, because, you know, that's kind of not the level you come to expect from Maxlore and Sunstar. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about their levels as players, so we're going to have to see coming throughout the split exactly how they stack up. But Giants right now, after day one, actually looked fairly weak. And when we look at what we're expecting from this lineup, it's kind of a tough ask to see them anywhere outside of, you know, 7th through 10th at the very start of this season.
Yeah, of course, this is also a very new lineup as well, so they've got time to grow, but just have to see what they do with it. I think the final thing there is just communication, honestly, with this team. Like, Sunstar and with the mid lane also being Korean, we were talking yesterday with me and Krepo, it was just like, probably the worst two roles to have as the Koreans. Like, it's very difficult to, like, really have that synergy. It's just, like, probably the worst combination, honestly.
Yeah.
AD carry and, like, support at least would even be fine, but between the mid lane, not so good.
It's a tough one. And another thing that might be tough for the Giants lineup is the fact they have to go up against the European Spring champions, G2 Esports on the red side. In the top lane, it is Kikis. Jungle is Trick. Mid lane, Perkz. AD carry and support are Zven and Mithy, with Youngbuck on stage as their coach.
I think the biggest thing from yesterday when I was casting their game was probably talking about Perkz and his fizz in game one, where he just he just went off. 5-0 and 3, crazy plays all throughout the game. You just see him just diving towers, doesn't even care. Trick comes in and finished off by Perkz. Like, literally, this whole thing is just Perkz highlight reel. That was game one.
And then we had to see, it, I believe it was game two, Soaz then just takes the fizz away and goes, no, mine. I'm playing it. And although he did well on it, it wasn't enough to kind of push away what G2 were trying to do. So, you know, there were a few issues when you look at it for G2 in their decision-making later on into the game, in the games against Origin. I think, though, the thing that kind of shores that over for today's series is up against Giants. I don't personally feel like it's getting to the late game. And if it does, that's a credit to Giants, I think, if they can draw G2 that late in the game.
Yeah, maybe. And Giants were making good decisions yesterday. It's just like they constantly made the mistakes that kind of evened it out and meant that they were kind of ran over by Fnatic. But if they do make the late game, maybe they can make it work.
So we like to make sweeping statements after one series. Well, yesterday, Origin lost to G2. Spoilers, for anybody that has not been watching the other stream, mute for like 10 seconds, Origin just lost again. So if Origin lost to G2 and now they've lost to a weaker opponent, where does that put G2? And the question is, where does that put Giants? Because Mithy in the very beginning of the day was like, oh yeah, we hear Giants are really good. So if Giants beat G2, does that mean Giants are better than like everybody that's above them? How does that place?
It's messing with my head. I have no idea. Honestly, there's been so many crazy results over just like the last day and I guess a half alone. It's so difficult to call who is better than who, honestly.
And that's the other effect. Is one of the other things he said was that the bottom tier are not so bottom tier anymore. And, you know, from the results yesterday with Roccat Splice going up against H2K and that lot, taking games away, is that true? Is what Mithy is saying true? Because I feel like it is at first look. But then you look at the way that Giants and Unicorns performed yesterday and you'd have questions. And then today maybe we'll have some questions answered. So sweeping statements aside, you know, there are a lot of ways that we may see Giants, you know, get small little bits and pieces. But I don't think, you know, position by position, you can ever go into this game and say, hey, look, Giants have got a massive chance here.
I want to pick up that topic in a second, but a quick update. You can see our refs just talking to Zven, who does have some issues currently with his peripherals, so getting that sorted out. And once he has that already, we will be getting into game. But I can see in the lobby they've replaced him with beginner bot Lucian. So that'll probably do for now.
Wow, okay, that'll do for now, I guess. At least it's not that intermediate.
Yeah.
That tends to be the one that starts
Lucian
punishing you.
Comes onto the rift and
Well,
dodges every skill shot.
I guess one area that has always been the discussion, and I feel like we've been proved wrong enough times to maybe stop going this route, but I'm going to go it again.
All right.
Is the top lane. Because now where does the meta settle for Kikis? We know he can play the Echo. We know he can play the meta champions as well. We have started to see a couple of funky champions come up through the top lane. There has been a couple of Swains, but Smitty J, he's always been known to mix in a carry now and again. Not that Riven's a viable pick right now, but certainly he's had that flexibility in his kit. So I wonder whether he's going anywhere completely different as well now for Giants.
I do too. I want to see if Kickers does adapt to some of the new picks that are coming out, because we are seeing some of those new majors head into the top lane. We are seeing some more of those carries happen. Maybe Smitty is better equipped coming in from Challenger for that, but Kickers has the experience, really.
Yeah, and the only reason that I highlighted is as you go down every other lane matchup, or at least matchup Maxlore into Trick, I feel like Trick is going to out-jungle Maxlore for a fair percentage of this game. Mid lane kind of writes itself as Perkz has stamped his authority on mid.
Yeah.
And the bottom lane. Sunstar, we kind of highlighted coming into this game was a little lackluster yesterday, some of his decision-making, and Hustlin played the Nautilus. So there is these questions over the Giants lineup. And if they can fix a lot of that, then maybe we'll see, as they put it in the intro to this, that maybe that they can see where they stack up, see what problems they have. But it's certainly a tough old ask for Giants right now.
Yeah, I can see Sven coming into lobby now, so it shouldn't be too much longer. But in terms of compositions, I don't think the draft was honestly that too bad from Giants yesterday. It was really about the execution in-game, because they were finding a lot of good fights. They were finding a lot of good stalls to what Fnatic were doing in the best of two. It was just, in the end, Fnatic just kind of maneuvered the map better, got better fights over them, and closed it out. So really, if they just get into game and execute better. I mean, it's easy, right? They just need to play better.
Play great against the European champions. Just don't make a mistake.
It's not hard. But no, we'll see what they do in Champion Select here. If they'll throw a curveball, perhaps.
Well, the curveball of Zed getting banned out already, although we are going to see that a couple of times with Perkz, his tendency towards that. But, we are not seeing it in this game.
No. Zed's taken away, and Rise will be taken away from Knights and potentially Smitty. Lucian, look at these fast fire bans coming in. Lucian going to be banned away from G2 as well, so not going to see that on the first rotation. Vladimir also aims at that mid lane, so already taking down the mid lane picks. Kindred will be the final one in from Giants and Nidalee, so a pinch on the mid and jungle pools so far.
Yeah, so where does that put us at first pick? We've seen the Echo come out first pick a couple of games, and lo and behold, as it said, well, this is going to be a fast pick and ban by the look of it. Teams are already ready.
Yeah, they were thinking about it while they were all waiting. And Caitlyn going to be picked up immediately with a Rek'Sai lock-in for Trick, so a lot of early prioritization on that one. As Miffy was saying yesterday in the interview, that feels like supports will be later picks now. Especially what G2 were looking to do. A lot of the flow of the game revolves around that role, he feels. Giants going to pick up the Graves and Braum. Seen a fall-off of Graves.
Yep.
But he's going to be rearing his head back in this game with Nidalee and Kindred banned.
And the thing is, although Graves typically was noted to be a jungler that, with Kindred, with Nidalee, had enough presence early game to be able to then farm up, it gives Rek'Sai a fair amount of freedom, because as soon as Rek'Sai pretty much has an item under her, has that Cinder Hulk, you're not really suffering too much against the Graves, and you still have better gank potential.
Sure. You
can get into the lanes, get into the mix of things a little easier than Graves can, so that is one of the reasons why we've seen the fall-off of Graves and the rise of some other junglers. Ooh. Azir was available.
Yeah, and it's just going to be locked in here. That was a second rotation pick in there from G2. And the Fizz.
Okay.
So that will be going to Kickers. So yeah, apparently Kickers will be playing more of this carry-orientated top lane. It's still going a little bit tanky, but has the potential to blow up some squishies.
So at this point, this is now kind of solidifying the fact that Fizz has just become a flex for G2 100% at this point, because there was no hesitation here. They're going to last pick the support, even with the Braum in the game already. Didn't want the Fizz going over to Giants potentially. We'll see where Giants actually end up going with their mid lane pick from here, but Fizz into Echo is likely to be the top lane matchup. We may see a big departure here if Giants want to flex that Echo into the Assassin mid lane role, but I'm not really expecting it. They are much more likely to go this Victor route in the mid lane into the Azir, play the wave clear game, play for the later game damage coming from that mid lane.
I actually do kind of like taking Fizz away from Knight. He's very much like a highlight player. He'll go for the big plays, and we've seen what damage that pick can do in the mid lane. And we'll time this out. It will be the Ezreal and Victor picked up for Giants. So Victor going on to Knight.
G2 could use a little extra engage, a little bit more bite in their composition right now. I mean, there are a couple of options they could go. They could go for Karma for the speed up route and go for the budget Sivir approach. If they wanted to go kind of old school with a champion that isn't super high priority, you could go for the Alistar route. But that really has seen a big drop off, especially in LCS. I don't believe we've seen an Alistar game. At least we didn't on LCS 2 yesterday or in any of today's games here on LCS 1. There are so many options for support, though, and you really can just pick whatever you want at the moment.
Yeah, I think we only just saw an Alistar in the last game on stream too. So yeah, we haven't seen it very much. Yeah, just because I literally saw in the highlight package, I saw Hybrid dunk someone. So that was
you got
just
my back.
from that.
I'm glad you got my back.
No, I think you're 100% correct up until this point. And Soraka will be final picked by Miffy, and he was actually saying in the interview, it's like Soraka and then pretty much anything else. Like, if you want to just neutralize the lane.
Well, it's not only a neutralized lane. I mean, Ezreal, it's kind of difficult to get on top of an Ezreal as it is, but Caitlyn's going to be able to farm this up pretty much uncontested right now. Sits so far back with a Soraka that, yeah, good luck ever getting on top of them. So both AD carries going to play for a fairly passive setup. Of course, Caitlyn will have some sense of harassment, and with the Soraka alongside, just heal her up anytime you take the damage in return. My eyes are going to be on top lane, though. SmittyJ, Kikis, playing that mix between tank and carry. I like it. I like the setup. A lot of interesting things in this game. Giants have themselves good scaling potential with the Victor, with the Ezreal. If they get there in the late game, we've seen that G2 do make late game mistakes.
They do, but it's about getting there, and Giants are going to have to pull them to the late game phase. But I think you're absolutely right. We need to look at the top lane, because it's kind of rare and rarer we see two carries in the top lane. Sometimes we'll see a carry, other person playing a tank, and then they'll just kind of butt heads and not do anything. This time, both of these players can really get involved and go for this one-on-one, unless we see a lane swap, and then they'll kind of fizzle out. But you can see the full compositions there. Giants going up against G2 in this one. Show your support on Twitter. Hashtag GIA win, hashtag G2 win, as we will be soon loading onto the Rift. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Second series of the day here on Stream 1. This will be game 1 of this best of 2 between Giants Gaming and G2 Esports. Let's get on to the Rift. Both these teams very hungry for a win here. G2 already off the starting block with 2 wins themselves. Giants, unfortunately, dropping those 2 games. But a lot of respect from both of the players, both talking about the other player's team.
Well, there's a little disrespect, perhaps, coming out from Kikis.
Okay.
Playing for the no flash lane. He's gone the, well, I have an escape built in. I'm just going to kill you a lot of times in lane setup here. This will get punished very heavily in a lane swap scenario. Won't get punished so heavily in standard lanes without getting camped. So it's kind of on G2 now to predict or try and figure out the lane swap. You can see deep ward from Kikis managed to sneak it through the top side onto that Gromp, trying to get as much information as they can. And realistically, there's no way of Giants to really know that Fizz has gone through to get that ward at this point. It's fairly early, so getting that ward down may end up giving them the information. But if Giants just hide their top lane or their duo lane in the top side without actually going through the jungle, they can not disclose the information that they are going for that swap. Kikis can always hold his teleport and kind of TP down into the solo lane once it's figured out, but there's a lot of ifs and buts in that scenario.
Indeed. So Ancient Coin picked up as a first pick from Miffy, going towards the Talisman, looking for the speed up when we get later into the game. And Going to be clearing out this jungle. Sven going into the top side here.
And you can see how that ward has paid off now, because it gave Sven and Mithy the knowledge that Echo was starting with Graves. So despite them starting on the top side, now you see SmittyJ teleports down to the bottom lane as soon as they realize it's standard lanes. There was no sign of G2 being on the bottom side, and they were spotted on the Tribush ward. So we've gone into Australia lanes. And I feel like Kikis will breathe a sigh of relief at that. Didn't have to use his TP to get down to the bottom lane either.
Yeah, Smitty had to burn his to get that 1v1, but this top lane, I think over time we'll just slowly grind out Sunstar and Hustlin with this lane. Very obnoxious. Meanwhile, in this bottom lane, I think Smitty was there slightly earlier, so he had priority on the lane, getting level 2, and actually still gets the punish onto Kikis. He didn't go far enough back and got hit by the Time Winder. So a decent amount of damage onto Kikis. He'll have to burn through probably one of these flask stacks, and it's pushing into his tower, so he'll probably be forced to farm this on the tower as well. So he's dropping a little bit of CS early on into this lane. Knight just kind of taking the full amount of damage coming in from the soldier, but returns a little bit onto Perks. He backs away.
So Kikis is going to have a little bit more sustain than you would normally expect a Fizz to have. Has opted for Grasp, despite, you know, playing somebody that builds more towards an assassin, or at least the bruiser role, I guess, with top lane Fizz that we have seen start come about. So he's going to be able to, you know, sustain himself up a little easier. Didn't actually choose to use one of those pots, and it's actually Smitty that used the first one in the lane. So when Kikis actually does chug one of those and land an auto and gets the burn from the pot and, you know, everything else in Fizz's kit, it's just like, ooh, that's a fair amount of damage.
It's interesting. I think Smitty actually popped it when he went for that trade to get the extra damage.
Painful in the top side though. This 2v2 is not one I'd like to be in. The Ezreal typically can stand further back and not get hit by the Caitlyn, but you can see already 24 CS to 15 in this 2v2 matchup. Sunstar is not having a very good time up against this Caitlyn. Getting harassed down and losing the CS war is showing you how dominant Sven and Mithy can be in a laning phase with a Caitlyn Soraka setup. I mean, who wants to play into this lane?
I mean, it's so difficult for Sunstar to land a single Mystic shot onto Sven or Mithy, but when he does, it's instantly healed up by Sven, or by Mithy onto Sven. So it's just difficult to make damage stick in this lane.
And not only that, the silencing field as well. So if you get caught, Trap's going to come out. Of course, it's difficult to get you locked in the silencing field, but we'll stop it from E'ing out.
Yeah, it's just a very frustrating lane to play against, really. And you can see that CS advantage starting to open up, and really what's Maxwell going to do about it, because you have the crab now being taken by Trick on the top side, so he can't path around that one, and he's also Graves. Like, you need someone to send him up, and Hustlin's going to have to go all in for that one. So it's difficult even to get assistance from the jungler, so Sunstar's going to have to just live with CSing under the tower while he's poked down by Sven. Hustlin, he's doing his best to trying to clear out this trap. Put a bit of damage onto Sven, that was nice from Hustlin. But he's always going to take a bit of damage in return from Mithy. Let's take a look at the rest of the map. Maxwell now invading into this jungle, placing down a bit of deep vision. So we'll see Trick, if he goes onto his Gromp, will pass into the bottom lane. And SmittyJ and Kikis as well. Still trading blows. First back went over to Kikis.
Yep. SmittyJ managed to back as well. Didn't have his TP available to get to lane. And Kikis will actually be a little frustrated by how the push played out from that. The cannon minion and the rest of the wave was barely on the edge of turret aggro. Didn't get aggro after the melee minions, so it meant the wave didn't fully push into the turret. SmittyJ was able to take the cannon minion, and what should have maybe been a fairly clean push from Kikis to punish SmittyJ for not having his TP actually didn't end up too bad for the Giants top laner. So one of those micro little things that now has allowed SmittyJ a little bit more CS in that lane. Get the gold, get the experience from the cannon minion.
Well, the slow grind continues in the top lane. Hustlin, you just saw take a headshot off screen. He just walked into a trap and Sven just instantly shot him down. Hustlin will probably want to go back to base fairly shortly. And Sven and Mithy are pretty high health, but starting to get low on the mana reserves. Jumps in with Urgent Strike. He's looking for the ultimate. Point blank lands onto SmittyJ as well. We'll have to flash out of here. Did not have the Chrono Break. Meanwhile, Trick looking to seal the deal on top lane. Hustlin backing away, but Maxwell's there for the counter gang. Trick will have to tunnel over the wall. Doesn't land end of the line as he makes his escape.
Nobody could block the tunnel as well. So what happened there was Kikis managed to utilize some of that lack of experience that SmittyJ had from not having his TP, hit that 6 earlier, get himself a favorable trade by burning the flash. Trick could be in trouble, does have to flash.
Yeah, still on the back foot, but tries to go back into the jungle, will be punished by Knight. Has to use the Chaos Storm, and Trick will have to use the flash, so he backs off. Still no level 6. Meanwhile, in this bottom lane, now matching Kicka's this level 6. Smitty has the Corona Break now, and will be a little bit safer, looking for that punish. Has picked up Dark Seal on top of his Corrupting Potion. Got a little bit more bang for his buck. Mid lane, everyone's jumping on the refillable potion hype train. Maxwell has one, Knight has one, Trick has one.
Everybody's got one.
Yep.
And something that's good for G2 right now, Sven has 500 extra gold on Sunstar, just from a laning advantage. This is why they wanted the 2v2 as well as the 1v1 setup. So that is where G2 have managed to find themselves, and they are punishing Giants very heavily. What that translates to is a very nice start for Sven's Caitlyn. Gets that BF sword, already getting towards those attack speed items, picks up the boots. That's exactly where you want to be as a Caitlyn.
It's basically perfect CS. 67 at 7 minutes into the game. He's missed very, very few minions. And if you're catching that obscure ward in the jungle, it's usually a really good ward down to get because as a jungler you don't path there, and as like any other laner you just never go there. But if you have your duo lane in the top lane, then Miffy has the extra time to go there and check just in case someone happens to place down a pink ward. Otherwise you can get maximum value from that. So very good as a solo Q ward if you're looking for one.
You can see what Giants have done here, and I like this adaptation. What they're saying is, hey look, we've lost the 2v2. We cannot afford to sit in that. It's going to smother us. In goes Perkz.
Perkz slide glide into the ultimate. Knight is knocked back, but Perkz is into the gravity field, still chaining the damage down. Conquering Sands onto Knight is not quite enough to finish him off, but takes a sizable portion of his maximum health away.
It looked flashy from Perkz. Really nice setup to that exchange, but it's actually Perkz ends up using his ultimate and the exhaust. Couldn't kill Knight because of the gravity field. Locked him in place. Perkz couldn't follow up with a lot more of the damage. And unfortunate, but Perkz actually uses a lot there. Doesn't get the flash.
And we'll have everyone swap up lanes because the first dragon is Infernal. So everyone wants their more fighting members on the bottom side to be able to contest that. Maxlore is going to get this crab down, so have vision over the area for a little bit. And Sven will come down here and continue farming. Kicka's bit of an advantage in top lane. Smitty tries to return the damage. Z-Drive Resonance will put a little bit of damage onto his opposing laner. Trick coming down into this side of the map. You can see the tunnel network has been set up on his side of the jungle. And Miffy and Sven still pushing away. Still have that advantage in the duo lane. But you'd have to feel at some point they want to start going towards Dragon, so you can see they're starting to set up the vision control over that area.
And at this point, as you're talking about Dragon control, Giants can't afford to keep swapping away from this 2v2. Now that they've settled it on the bottom side, that's pretty much the hand they're going to have to play with. So they've dealt it themselves. Sunstar gets damage while Sven was on his own, but Miffy arrives. Suddenly all of that health's going to come back. So, surprise, surprise. Perkz, no ult, no exhaust.
Knight's following after, but Perkz can glide away, and unfortunately the Chaos Storm is not very fast.
Yeah, at this point not fast at all. Kicka still wants his fight topside.
Yeah. Not until he gets Velocity, but that's not until the third upgrade, so
yeah,
no Velocity 9 for him. Anyway, Knight is going to be pushing in the mid lane, push that to tower, and Trick takes away the Grump as well. So everyone's just kind of backing away, happy with what they managed to get for now, and you can see a spattering of vision from both teams in this Dragon area. Trick still farming. And Maxwell, he's still clearing wards. At some point, they will challenge over this Dragon. This might be opened up by Maxwell coming bot lane.
The thing is, G2 are just getting advantages in every single lane. Like, this is just an example of just a team just getting kind of outclassed almost. I don't want to be too harsh on Giants right now, because I know it seems like we're ragging on them a lot, but you have to look at it and say, look, okay, they've got some favorable lanes here. They have got lane dominant picks when you look at the Caitlyn with Soraka. Kicka's is being able to find the 1v1. Oh, Perkz is not finding the ult.
Misses the combo, but a Azir turret will mean that Knight is going to think twice about walking past it and going full aggression onto Perkz, which still allows him to go into the top side of the jungle and look for a potential collapse onto Smitty. This will signal Maxlore going into the bottom side.
And typically, we've seen Maxlore being very quick to kind of camp towards the lane that typically Giants have been able to win from. he's having to compensate for bot lane right now, trying to come in and put some pressure down to equalize it. I mean, Perkz took the mid tower during that.
Yeah.
And realistically, there was no fight that kicked that off. G2 have just completely ripple affected their lead here, and it's going to consistently grow and grow throughout this game if Giants don't do something about it. But Giants, their lineup needs time too. Ezreal needs time to stack. Victor needs extra time to get items, get those other Hex Core upgrades till his ultimate can actually start hurting people.
Mifmi and Sven still pushing down this bottom side. That really is the another headshot coming through, but that really is the story of the game. Every lane is just slightly ahead through just literally laning against each other, because we had Australia lanes into standard lanes. And it's just small advantages in each of the laners. Even the jungle has a small advantage.
Sunstar, you gotta back away. He just spotted mid and jungle on a ward, and that tower is already low.
Yeah, but again, G2 don't need to dive, they don't need to force anything, because they've already taken the tower. That's 2 towers now over to G2. Without anyone really grouping up, it's just been through the 2v2s and the 1v1s. 12 minutes, almost 13 minutes into this game, still no one's taken the Infernal Dragon.
And it's to the point where G2 know that they don't need to take that risk. Because that's the thing, right, is Infernal Dragon is only worth fighting over if you think there is a danger of the other team taking it and then kind of snowballing their lead from that. For G2, they have enough of a lead already that they can deprioritize the dragon and take towers, take other objectives around the map, because they know their lead is sufficient right now that if Giants sneak, using air quotes, Infernal Drake, G2 are going to get turrets, get everything the other side of the map far faster, and actually come out ahead anyway. And one Infernal Drake doesn't actually matter that much to them right now.
What about 3? You
take
one early, then you start the rotation. But the later we go into the game, the less dragons that we get. And Sven, he's opening up a pretty sizable lead in the bottom lane now. Just over 20 farm onto him. Going for the Hurricane after his BF sword, pretty standard on the Caitlyn there. And meanwhile, Trick looks like he's going towards Cinderhawk, most likely in the jungle, picking up the extra Ruby Crystal.
Perkz,
He's
maybe
in the jungle.
overextended.
He is in very deep, but he's conquering sands, shifting sands, and Perkz was literally just swag walks back into the mid lane.
Again, Perkz has to use a lot, doesn't really get punished too hard from it, has his flash unavailable now. So next time he does that, maybe we'll get caught out a little harder.
True, but that was 2 flashes expended from Giants.
Yeah.
And an ultimate from Hustler.
I'm trying to look at it from the positives.
All right, I see.
What Giants can
Silver
build
linings, I see. Well, there's no Cloud Dragons just yet in this game. Trick's going to start off this Infernal Dragon. It does indeed augment your dueling and team fighting abilities by giving you all the damage. Max Law, he's just trying to get involved. He wants to try and get in range, but he's being zoned so hard by Perkz. He can't even get in range to see the dragon going down.
I was going to say, Kikis was dropping down into the river to TP, actually starts his recall, baits Smitty J out to start recalling and forces Smitty to use his ultimate to get back to lane now to defend the tower. Otherwise, G2 would have got a 3rd turret with no contest coming out from Giants. Infernal Drake goes over to G2 because it's the easiest objective on the map for them to take at that point, so why not push it down? They deprioritized it for long enough, and suddenly Giants now find themselves having to defend their top side because now there's no ult on Smitty J. He has his flash available, and you've got Nazir and a Rek'Sai coming across. They have been spotted on a ward. Perkz is no flash, keep in mind.
That was really nice from Perkz, setting up a soldier where he knew Knight had to path through anyway if he wanted out, so takes 3 swings from the soldier. Sundisk set up in the mid lane, still sieging away, slowly pushing in. And G2 don't have to do anything. No crazy, they don't need to go for a fight, they just need to space out and keep winning. Because nothing is going wrong. It's not even like one lane is going exceptionally well for Giants that they need to start playing around it and start trying to fight back. Like everything is just winning. And it doesn't need to be exciting, or it doesn't need to be flashy.
It's not going to be flashy until Kikis decides to finish a couple of items and then goes aggressive. I mean, realistically for G2, they got a Caitlyn and a Nazir, so it's not even like we're like, well, if Giants get to the late game, Ezreal and Victor are going to just completely out-damage.
Yeah.
Especially with the Infernal Drake going over to G2. Let's see what the second one is. Cloud, there's your silver lining.
Yeah, there we go.
It is.
I'm not really seeing it, honestly, for Giants right now.
I mean, there is still the potency of their composition. They can team fight fairly effectively. The problem is that G2 are dragging them across the map at the same time. G2 can only really split push in one lane with Kikis because they haven't got a TP on a second Nepa. So there is a world as Smithy has to flash.
This is nice from Maxwell and Hustlin, potentially setting up a kill, but Perkz is going to swing in and land the ultimate onto Knight for the first blood. Maxwell getting followed after. He has the exhaust right on top of him, and Trick trying to get a range for this knockup, but not going to happen with the Umbro here. A nice 1-0. It was Giants trying to force the issue, but G2 punished them.
Yeah, good punish out by G2. Perkz comes in with the ult. This time actually connects. Oh, Smitty J.
Oh, nice timing.
Good timing. Forces the ult. It's going to result in the tower going down, though, is the end of all things.
Yeah, Trick is just going to wander up here to get some of that gold. I'll tank up the tower. Probably going to have to wait for one more minion wave before they take it, but that will be all of the outer towers going down to G2 now. Initially, it looked like a good setup from Giants.
It did. Yeah, they get the catch onto Miffy, get the damage down, but in comes Perkz from the side, and Knight is the real amount of damage here in this fight. Yes, it's a Graves, but doesn't have all that much reliable damage in this scenario. There's minions in the way, there's no wall to explode off, so difficult for for Maxlord to get his damage down. And, you know, if you believe in a multiverse, maybe there is an Earth 2 somewhere where this Victor, there's Ezreal, this Echo can team fight effectively, but they need to at least be contending with the number of items and damage that G2 have right now, because...
Oh no. Maxwell just a bit half-healthed just from one soldier. Yeah, not really looking too hot for Giants and Earth 1 right now, Stress, but G2 are just, again, closing in on these towers. Mid tower's already down to half, and it's just not looking good. Smitty J is following after Perkz. This is actually pretty good with this long-range chase. Perkz, he messed up the shifting sand and the ultimate, and that will cost him most likely his life. It's going to take a while, but eventually he will go down. Perkz outplayed himself.
Tries to be flashy, ends up finding out he lost out in that. G2 do finally lose a member in this game, and maybe that's what Giants need to build off there. Looking for any objective they can, but unfortunately none of them are available because top lane was pushing away from them. Mid lane there were people in, and bottom lane was pushing away from G2, so all of the turrets were safe. And Rift Herald pretty much not worth attempting at that point, so it's a kill for Giants.
It is, and I will say that Perkz seems to be getting restless. He keeps ending up in the opposing jungle, just being there and waiting for someone to fight. He just wants something to happen in this game, and that has resulted in a kill, and also resulted in him losing a flash, and this time actually getting killed himself. So Trick is... Oh, he's going to try and rush down the Herald just before it drops.
We saw Vitality try and do this yesterday, and it timed out.
It's against the clock. Can they make it happen? No. I think it's gone.
It's gone because the eye won't open twice more in time.
It's actually going to be close. Here comes the Baron.
Happens again. Vitality tried it yesterday.
Yeah. Well.
Well, there's something's got to try and happen with that Rift Herald at some point.
That's true. But yeah, people not really prioritizing that much. Of course, the 5% damage reduction when you're by yourself, and extra bit of damage. And Kikis just get locked up here. A lot of damage going on towards him, coming from Sunstar. And Smitty, he'll drop down. Smitty is still going to follow onto Trick. Miffy's here to try and support. And now Echo will back away. Perkz slides into the fight and will reinforce this tower's defense. Maxwell will have to back away here, slides out himself. Quick draws away.
Watch bottom lane though, Caitlyn pushing up to an inner tower now. G2, if they can delay the recalls, this is a pretty fast Caitlyn. Oh, Perkz though, he's on his own.
Maxwell flash over the Azir wall. Perkz is going to take some damage from end of the line, but it is not the end of the line for him right now. Trick is going to try just carry on poking Crazy, because going to utilize this network of tunnels, but Sven, he's kind of pushing away and no one's really stopping him.
Hustling recall, that's very optimistic to think that a Braum is going to stop Caitlyn on his own.
He'll put the shield up in front of the tower and just like stop it for a couple seconds.
Well, Sven, now we might be in trouble because Hustling is here, but Echo is not pushing forward, can't actually get up to him, so Sven is fine in that scenario. And G2, once again, Giants get themselves a pick, but G2 come out overall ahead from it by getting a tower, the objective, and pushing forward with their lead.
4 towers to 0 right now, and G2 are going to take away the Cloud Dragon, kind of by choice. I mean, like, they just took it because it's there and they had people there at the same time. Convenience. Next one will be Infernal, though. So that'll be the second one of the game for G2 if they can secure it, or the first for Giants. They take that one away. 6,000 gold advantage to G2, however. And every lane is just kind of ahead. Maybe apart from top lane, Smitty is now even in farm and has both of those 2 kills. So he is in better shape. He is actually still behind because of the tower differential, but yeah. He's closer, at least, than the rest of his lanes.
Well, there's a fair difference on some of the others, like over 1,300 gold on the 80 carries difference. I mean, Caitlyn's at 2 items now, so already on her way to picking up the rapid fire cannon that's going to follow. So G2 have themselves that extra movement speed out of combat. They got the extra damage from the AP and an AD increase that Infernal gives.
I want the next one to be Mountain, and then Kickers will be the Avatar. Just trying to imagine, like, Fizz now as the Avatar.
I don't think that would
be pretty weird.
No, that would be weird.
Yeah,
that would be weird. Although, if it was Ocean, maybe Perks would be the Avatar.
That's
I guess
true.
Sand and Earth are not quite.
It's kind of the same. Well, we're going to find the one-on-one duel in the mid lane. Knight's going to flash away. Perks doesn't quite find the kill and finalize it. Lots of summoners burn back and forth, and Knight's going to keep his heal.
Sven, again, just pushing out. I mean, there's not really a lot that can stop this Caitlyn power farming right now. Sven is, I mean, he's pretty much on perfect CS, or at least like what you would expect. I mean, he's still not like pushing for a, you know, massive CS.
Yeah, he's not breaking any
like
Guinness World Record.
But nobody's stopped him from farming, and that ain't gonna happen for the rest of the game. G2 feel like they got the Baron set up here.
Hudson's going to come in, land the ultimate just onto Sven, and he's going to pay his life for just that ultimate. Knight's coming in from the bot, but the trick is already onto Sunstar. Maxlore is going to try and help him, but ultimately it's just a fruitless endeavor. And Kicker's going to follow after Maxlore as well, and he just simply doesn't have the damage to deal with Fizz. He's just too tanky. Smitty J is also going to back away. Baron didn't go down, but G2 forced Giants to come out into the open, and they pick up 2 kills and this top tower, and Trick's going to come back into the mid lane and pick up this farm.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to be Earth 2 Giants. They seem to be on a different frequency from each other, trying to go in for these fights. G2, Sven's trying to get himself away from this, but I don't think they quite have the mobility to catch up here. The out of movement speed, 15 extra movement speed out of combat.
Zooming along.
They're getting out of there.
Oh. Let's take a look at the Baron play once again. Hudson, he pops the ultimate, and it's like, well, that's all I can do. Yeah,
that's all he had at that point. Sunstar at this...
he got tagged by the fish.
The fish going to follow him all the way across. Sunstar ends up falling. And I mean, Kickers, we were talking in Champ Side. It's like, what is he going to go for if he hasn't got his normal, regular tanks available? Picks the Fizz that they had to play up against yesterday. Has a real good game on him. 1 death to his name, but still 3-1-0. Running flashless. Knows he can just pick up kill after kill after kill. Pretty solid game from Kickers.
I think so too.
I think we've got to stop doubting.
Have we doubted? Okay, yeah, we have like sometimes.
It's like the easiest place to go, right? It's like you look at Sven and you're like, okay, great bot lane.
Yeah.
You look at Perks, it's like, oh, he's beating everybody. Same with Trick. And it's not even like Kickers isn't comparable to the rest of his team.
Yeah.
It's just still a little unexpected. And I think now that we're going into a second split of Kickers being top lane on a team that at least looks to be contending towards the top of the standings, I think, honestly, I have to drop any preconceptions here and say that Kickers can hold his own.
I think a lot of his preconceptions from me faded away towards playoffs last split, where Kickers was really turning up and doing well. And the likes of Echo, Perks is going to make his way out. Knight's there as well. Pops the ultimate, is being chased down. The Rylai's is not enough to slow Perks into the field, and Trick is so come just kind of walked back into it. It's just like, I don't really care about the damage too much.
Kickers.
Kickers is coming into mid lane. Have to flash away from the fish.
Has to curse.
Has to curse.
Straight away.
To be fair, he burnt the flash for an ultimate, and there's a fairly low cooldown, so still net gain for Kickers. But yeah, really, ever since Echo came into the meta, Kickers had better and better games. Not just playing tanks, which was kind of the meme at the time. It was like, Kickers just plays tanks in the top lane, but now we've seen him on more carry-orientated top lane. He's really done a great job.
Yeah, he has done a lot better. Max fires the wrong way.
Triple knock up with the Umbra there from Trick, and that will result in 2 fast kills over to G2. SmittyJ, nice parallel convergence onto 3 players. But it's not enough because no one can deal any damage from the CC, and Kickers is going to come in there, finish him off alongside Perkz for the kill credit. And Kickers will continue to back away. Everyone is flashing up red from G2, but they're all kept alive. Miffy was happy to be in the back line, just heal, heal, heal. You get a heal.
The ambulance play onto Sven the entire way through that team fight. Sven took so much damage from people as he was moving forward, but it was all healed back up. And as you were talking about, very happy to play on the back lane. Sven pushes a little forward to try and capitalize here, and actually gets caught in the gravity field in the, I believe, in the mini shockwave, pulls him in. From there, SmittyJ feels like he's got the damage, but look at it. Heal comes out. Heal comes out.
Disgusting.
Heal comes out from Miffy. And Sven just stays in his half health point, dealing damage. Perkz goes in. Sunstar. Oh man, if he pulls that to the right and predicts the escape path, maybe he gets a kill or two. But no dice for Sunstar, and couldn't keep chasing. He was low on mana. Couldn't really afford to keep throwing out spells because he would have been 1v4.
Miffy, I think, regenerated almost 1,000 HP on Sven throughout the whole fight. He landed 4 heals and an ultimate. So, yeah, a lot of healing. Sven would have died there for sure without the help of Soraka. And once again, G2 prioritize the Baron. And once again, Giants will come out into the open and try and contest it, but it's already gone down to Trick, and Max thought he's gonna fall as he goes too deep trying to find the steal. Hustlin will also be dropping here, and SmittyJ, he's on to Sven, but again, he can't really do anything about it. He's gonna jump here with the Chrono Break and might actually find the 1v1. Nope.
Nope.
Miffy, the heals are ridiculous.
Oh, so frustrating to try and deal with. Looks like G2 certainly picked something up at MSI when they were like, huh, Soraka.
Yeah.
Looks like a good champion. And certainly is making this such a difficult game. This is really bad. Well, Sunstar burning down. Kickers gets the kill, no chance.
Yeah, not a lot you can do about that one. G2 onto this tower, and it seems like curtains coming down on Giants' first game in this series, as Sven is just by himself also wrecking the top lane. We've got another 10 seconds on Smitty, another 25 on Sunstar, and if this is not going to be the game, it's going to be pretty much everything else in this space gone. See Perkz even styling a little bit, using the horseshoe maneuver on Azir. No real practical application, just to look good.
Just trying to look flashy again. At this point, I mean, this fight, unfortunately for Giants, this is not a fight that they're ever really going to win 5v5 here. There's just too much damage on the side of G2, closing this fight out. And you can see this mini ult, heal. Oh, Sven's back full health. Sven even now has Vamp Scepter, I believe, had it before that fight. Infernal Drake coming out, so if they didn't have enough damage as it was, G2 are just gonna... Oh, there we go, look at it. There it goes. Zoom.
Absolutely dirty. Miffy, there's just so much healing. Like, this is like the dream scenario for a Soraka, where it's like no one can ever touch you in a fight. And you just get to sit there, literally stand still and just click your heal on people. And Giants, they have no way to get to him at all. They can't even get through Trick right now with the poke coming out. Somehow Giants lost a dragon. They don't even deserve that Cloud Dragon anymore. And SmittyJ are going to come in here. They do manage to take out Perkz. This could be a good setup for them as Kickers is coming onto Hustle and Knight. Gets a good fish down. Smitty is going to also kite back. Kickers finds 1 kill. That's going to be credit to Sven. Another double kill will be going over to him, but he's under the tower. Can't out-heal that one. Kickers are going to come in for the kill. And Knight is chasing after onto Trick and Miffy. Now they're kind of trapped under their tower on an island. But Kickers is maybe the one who's trapped here. But no, he's going to run onto all of these minions. Look, all my friends coming in. And Knight and Hustling
pushing with 2 lanes.
I actually don't think Knight and Hustling can stop these minions. I actually think the minions will just finish on their own. Hustling and Knight just have to go back to base, and this will be the end of the game. G2 come in with the very slow push to finish this one off, and Kickers wants those fancy points. Gonna chase Knight on to the spawn pad, and it will be the Nexus falling down in a second. If they can pick up a kill, they'll take it. They want to pad their stats, and that will be the destruction on the Nexus. G2 take the first win over Giants.
And not just the first win, a convincing win from the first minute of the game. Getting themselves the right lane setup that they wanted, the 2 versus 2, and the 1 versus 1, and they just completely crushed every single lane.
Yep, hopes and dreams completely crushed.